Hello, everybody. This is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon, where we share practical, spiritual, occult wisdom. So this is a warning. Please take all lessons from the Conscienticon at your own risk. I nor anyone within the network are responsible for your behaviors, be they beneficial or damaging. We do not sugarcoat things on the Conscienticon. I am not responsible for any of the mistakes you're going to make as you implement things within your life. He who controls their actions can accomplish anything, and he who controls his emotions can control his actions, and he who controls his perspective can control his emotions. So he who can control his perspective is the architect of his own experience. Let's imagine that you're at work currently and you are just trying to get through your day. It's peaceful, you are diligently working, you are doing your best to do a good job. And your boss pulls you to the side because he wishes to discuss performance issues with you. Now, so far as you know, you haven't had any issues with your performance. You've outperformed many other individuals that you work around, and you are confident before this interaction that you were doing well. However, this boss decides to hit you with evidence that doesn't make any sense, and then accuses you of maybe being lazy, taking extra breaks, not performing the tasks fast enough, and he has absolutely no evidence. What reaction is going to be the typical reaction that a person would give or you would feel in this scenario? In my case, I'd be pretty pissed off. I'd be pretty angry. Anger emerges from broken principles, right? And all emotion is a predictive process. Emotions that we feel are predictive processes. This is the most critical thing to understand throughout this whole video. Emotions are predictive processes. Now, emotions can be very complicated in that you feel certain things. You feel machinations within your body churning. Let's say you're very anxious. You feel a churning of your stomach, a sweating of your palms. And this is a predictive process. So before this prefrontal cortex evolved, we have been able to feel emotions. As creatures become more complicated, it seems like emotions are favored by evolution. And this means that these emotions, which we often call energy in motion, are actually predictions that give you a baseline set of behavior or thoughts that emerge from this emotion to produce certain outcomes that will benefit you for whatever is coming. So for example, anger stems from a broken principle, and it usually means there's a fear below it. So in our interaction with our boss, we became fearful because this could lead to job termination, which would be the worst case scenario for us if all we want to do is get through the day, get paid, and go home. Losing the job entirely is really the root fear. Anger tells us that there must be an action. We must do something. Maybe we need to cuss him out. Maybe we need to avoid him. Maybe we need to cover our tracks and find a new job. So this is critical to understand because emotion is practical. Emotion is a tool. I don't think enough people understand that emotion is actually a predictive process. Okay, emotion is your body preparing itself or preparing your mind for set thought patterns that are going to be relevant in the future. Okay, so how can we change this anger? We can change this anger by shifting perspectives, because as we said before, he who controls their perspective becomes the architect of their reality. This is because the perspective controls the emotion, and the emotions control the thoughts, and the thoughts make the action. So we want to imagine our emotional state being cued by things that we perceive. So we want to imagine our thoughts emerging from a pool of emotion. And so emotions set up the cue in which the thoughts flow from. So how do we change these emotions? And the key is always to rewrite perspective. So there's this wonderful book called Man's Search for Meaning. And within the book, this is about a man who survived a concentration camp and explained basically what he had learned from that experience. And to consolidate it briefly for you, what he learned is that people who had a meaning for living beyond the concentration camp thrived compared to those who didn't have any meaning. Now, anybody who had maybe a wife they were pursuing, family they were pursuing outside the camp, something special that they needed to live through this camp just became an obstacle. Those people did much better under the extreme conditions. And I also want to hit on a point by Friedrich Nietzsche, who says, "He who has the right why can bear almost any how." I believe that Frankl quotes Nietzsche in this way because he knows that if you have the right perspective, the dynamics of the game that you're playing called life, you can control the emotions that emerge from that perspective. If you believe that you are the hero of your own life, just imagine for a second, give yourself permission to say, I'm the hero of my own life. How does that feel? It should feel righteous. You should feel more powerful. You should feel more autonomous. And this is because you have shifted your perspective. So before we continue and I give you some practical tips, I just want to thank the patrons for supporting the Conscienticon. I thank you guys so very deeply. You motivate me. You keep me feeling strong. You keep me feeling proud and very impressed learning about the things that you guys are going through and the obstacles that you're overcoming. I'm very proud and I'm very, 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 I don't know, just so excited about the whole thing. Whenever you wish to change your emotional state, there's some things that you should take into consideration. The first step is to consider whether this emotion is necessary or not. Maybe certain emotions don't quite fit the frame that's going on. So for example, screaming at somebody who has made you mad in the middle of a store.
Oh my God, they have Halo Top!
Or probably isn't the best idea, right? Because maybe this person isn't worth your time at all. So you have to analyze your emotions and say, are these emotions going to get me in a place that's better or worse? And sometimes anger is an effective emotion at changing your life, making you better. This rage, this desire for change, most change comes from an unsettled discomfort within you. This is striving to make reality shift in your will or to your benefit. So we want to ask, is this emotion necessary in this situation, or is it going to destroy me if I indulge? The next thing you do is you find silence and peace, because this allows you to feel the emotion, to see it, to experience it, and understand that it's you and that it is some sort of a radar. It is and it's going to dictate where your thoughts go from here on. So peace and quiet, breathing, inner reflection for a while, because these emotions, they set off chemical chains within your brain, and these chemicals, there's physics to this. It takes time for you to change your vibration. It takes time for you to flow into a new mental state. And what you want to do is create a perspective that allows the shifting of emotions to an optimal emotion that you want. So third, once you've found peace, you go to full analyzation mode, and as deeply as you can go. So for example, in our scenario where our boss is pissing us off and judging us unfairly, we want to analyze why this is making us so emotional. Are we afraid that we're going to lose our job because of this person's opinion? Maybe it's fair to feel angry in that situation because you're helpless, right? So now we know, hey, maybe is keeping this anger, remembering that this fucker did this to me, will be the seed I need to get out and maybe get a new job, right? Maybe you analyze it and you think, man, this guy really doesn't have any power at all. In fact, he doesn't really care about taking this to any other level than me. And what he's really doing is trying to make me feel lower so he feels higher. We're analyzing, we're trying to figure out why this is happening, why we're experiencing what we're experiencing. Because when we understand the parameters, we can shift the variable. And the fourth thing you do is you reframe through repetition. So in this case, this is what I would do if somebody scrutinized me like this, made me feel bad about performing when I was performing at my max. I would be angry at first. And anyone who tells you that they can just control their emotions, they can control their thoughts, and they're in charge of this body is bullshitting you, because there are parts of them that are going to react before the conscious mind has a chance to react. Now, they might be able to cull those emotions, but even your most amazing sage is going to feel anger. They're going to feel all of these weird emotions. They're going to feel desire. They're going to feel all these things. Now, they want you to think that they don't, because that allows them to control you. However, everybody feels emotions. And what you want to do is reframe it. You want the power to shift and reframe. Maybe somebody comes up and smacks you right in the face. You're probably going to be pretty angry, right? If you have emotional control, you can calm yourself down in the moment and try to figure out what the hell really happened despite your rage. Now, rare few people can do that, but you can be capable of that level of stoic behavior. So in the case of the boss judging me and making me feel bad about my performance, what I would do is reframe and ask myself these questions. And through analyzation, this should emerge naturally. The analyzation step should allow you to find new leverage of perspective. Now imagine that boss is getting onto you because he's jealous of you. That's interesting, right? That's an interesting frame of emotion. So you can change from rage from wanting to destroy him, from being like, oh, I'm sorry for you, you're kind of pathetic. And that's an emotional shift. So now all your thought patterns that follow are going to be like that. Repeat over and over in your head. Hey, this guy's jealous of me. He wishes he was as cool as me. He wishes he was as effective as me, but he's not. And this is what it looks like to be the architect of your own reality. Change perspective. Give yourself time to analyze the pieces on the chessboard. Change how you're viewing it. Imagine you're the other player. Imagine what they're doing and why they're doing it. And then once you get that truth, you can change the prediction, because emotion is just a prediction. It's always a prediction, and it creates the flow of forward momentum and energy. Energy in motion is emotion. This is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you very much.